Welcome to the Spotlight on Marketing, and I'm your host, Karen Lloyd. And today we are joined by Emma Acton. Emma has close to 30 years' experience in the technology industry, having multiple marketing and leadership roles in the B2B space. Respected as a marketing thought leader, Emma has honed her skills and experience at organisations such as Iron Mountain, Tipco, Showpad and Acquia. Her experience has been very focused on account-based marketing and customer-led growth. So thank you, Emma, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate the invite.
From previous discussions, I know that you're addicted to golf and playing on two ladies' teams. And I'm a self-possessed runner, as we mentioned before, but my hand-to-eye coordination isn't very good. So I'm always amazed at people that can play golf really well. So when did you first get hooked on the sport and what drives you about enjoying it?
Well, you said playing really well. I'm not sure that is me. I'm still having lessons and I think you never stop learning when it comes to golf. But, I first got addicted many, many years ago. I was doing my A-levels and I ended up getting a job in the halfway hut at Wentworth Golf Club. So serving bacon and sausage sandwiches to the golfers. And, after hours, once, the course had closed, but it was still light, we were able to actually sort of pop out onto the little 9-hole that was there with, a couple of the caddies and sort of, get a club out and have a few hits. And I've been addicted ever since, really. So, work has kind of prevented me from getting fully into it, just because of hours. But, more recently, my husband and I joined a club and we play together on the weekends and, try to incorporate at least 1 or 2 holidays a year that have got some golf in. But, you'll spot me watching the Masters this coming weekend, or the weekend after once it starts in the US.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Oh, I love it. And it's lovely that it started as a passion where it was actually a job that you were doing and then it transpired into something that's a passion. And I suppose it must have been the beauty of that day as well, seeing the weather change and then going out. It must have been all part of the experience, which I think is
I think fair weather golf is fabulous. There's nothing like it. You really can't beat that time.
So one of the reasons I really love to have you on this show is that obviously the Spotlight on Marketing, we really love to dive into why marketing is valuable in businesses and how it can really, impact a company. And it isn't just that fluffy department. It's actually the heartbeat and the beating drum of the business. And I was particularly excited to speak to you because I know that your time at Tipco, you were working on aligning sales and marketing. And this actually led to you to winning a prestigious award for the Serious Decisions, now run by Forrester, on the return on investment. Could you walk us through your experience and share some insights on how you were able to achieve that sort of level of sales and marketing alignment and get such an impressive result?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to claim credit myself. It was for the marketing team, and there was myself and another marketing leader as well that actually got up and presented at their conference and gave a case study on how we'd achieved that. I think it's really, and I'll talk about this as well at other points in this podcast, but I think it's really that true buy-in that marketing and sales are partners. It isn't about, and I know people say this isn't about marketing throwing the leads over the fence and sales catching them and off you go. It really is about aligning as the different functions and deciding what the objectives are that you are both going to jointly meet. I think when we were at Tipco, one of the things that we really needed to understand was what were the actual use cases that our customers were using the Tipco software for. And I think once we established that, and it wasn't something that we determined overnight, we went out and spoke to our customers. We had interviews with the salespeople and tried to really sort of understand how the software was being used in these different use cases. And it turned out that different verticals had different use cases. So we identified those with our customers. We kind of read that back to them and had their agreement and said, yeah, this is what we are using it to help us solve. And then once we understood that, we determined how can we package that up to be applicable for other prospects that might be in that particular industry. So one of the core things that Sirius awarded us the award for was that alignment for vertical industry marketing between sales and the marketing team, and us being able to help sales understand those use cases. And TIBCO is all about sort of data and analytics, and there were some very interesting ones, things like fraud detection in insurance. And so once you understand that from one insurer, you can then package that up and go and speak to other insurers, and they go, oh, ding, yes, that's what I've got a challenge with as well. So, it then snowballs and snowballs from there. And I think sales really liked what we were doing as a marketing team because it was resonating with the customers. Those light bulbs were going on when they spoke to the customer. And so it makes sales happy when the customer goes, oh, yeah, actually, that is my problem. Come and speak to me and see if you can help me out with it. So that was really one of the key things, was identifying what we could help sales with in terms of our marketing, and then, having those great conversations with the customers off the back of it.
No, fantastic. And what was the trigger, do you think? Was it that you came in saying, I'm going to dive into the customers, or was there a precursor or trigger that you were thinking in the business, like, we need more sales, we're not getting it? What was the sort of underlying current to start looking at the customers?
I think a combination of lots of things. You ultimately want to drive more pipeline. You want to be driving more from a marketing attribution model. We have tough targets as marketeers. We're not just a department that generates web leads. We have to do things through a number of different tactics. And so you've got to have a look and see what is really going to drive that pipeline for me. How do I get the best ROI from every dollar that I've got as marketing? Because we know marketing budgets are always under pressure. They're often the first thing that gets cut when numbers are not where they need to be for an organization. So how do you look and understand which items are going to give you, which tactics and activities are going to give you that best return? And so we needed to look across the board at, this was at TIBCO, at what was really going to drive the revenue. And we knew that we were seeing these different conversations with customers. And it was when we understood that these were per industry, be it insurance or banking, financial services, manufacturing, retail. Lots of different industries have different challenges, but the diversity of TIBCO software was that it could help solve these different use cases. So helping to really understand and define what those use cases were helped us to deliver a better ROI. And ultimately, if you're helping customers and they, what you do is really solving their problem, solving their challenge, you're ultimately going to help lead to more pipeline and more revenue, because it's I need this to solve me. It's not a nice to have. This is, I need this to solve my problems and me as Mr. Customer to be more profitable, and deliver shareholder value, or whatever the objectives of the business are. So driving that outcome from marketing, ultimately driving more pipeline and driving more revenue for less dollars, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's always an easy dream, isn't it? That we have a product, we have something that that we think everybody else wants, but ultimately then there's a sales team who are out there like, go sell, close the deals. So it's really hard to get that alignment of the two, really, because but it's ultimately, in theory, we all want the customer to be at the heart of it. But when you joined, was that always the case for TIBCO, or do you think there was a transformation that you went on as a journey where maybe it was more sales led and then it moved to customer led? Can you explain if that was the case?
Yeah, I think sometimes you can become a bit complacent. I think you look at things and you do your standard activities. So you do your events, you do your partner activities, you do web and digital, you have your campaigns, and you can probably get a little bit stuck in a rut. Well, we did it last year, so as we write the marketing plan, well, we'll have one of those. We'll do X number of these every quarter. And you get stuck in this rut. And I think one of the big things that we were very lucky at TIBCO, being a data and analytics company, we were able to use our own software, drink our own champagne, to then determine which activities were actually delivering and which touch points were able to have an impact. When you do that, you can get out of that rut because you start to say, well, we've done this, this, and this, but actually it was this, and this activity that drove better pipeline or more pipeline or better quality pipeline that actually converted. Because you can start to look into conversion ratios of different activities and tactics. You can start to see those different touch points and how your organization is going along that journey with the customer to help drive that deal. So being data driven is incredibly important. It helps you get out of that rut of standard activities that you might do because we've always done them. So that was one of the things is when I came in, we needed to look at and understand. And I had a fantastic marketing operations and analytics team, just brilliant. And using the software, it was able to give us that insight to be able to make those decisions and sometimes hard decisions and not go to a particular event just because, well, we've always been there. And, you know, sometimes you upset some of your sales peers because, well, we always go. But did it deliver any pipeline and revenue? I know we can say, well, we met lots of customers there and we had lots of great meetings, but did it actually drive pipeline and revenue? Well, if you look back, actually for the last 3 years, it didn't. So I'm going to make a tough decision. I'm going to take that $20,000 and I'm going to put it into something that I know does convert and is going to deliver 10 or 12x on the dollar in terms of pipeline and revenue for you. And so that data does help you make that tough decision and get out of the rut to move and do things that are, better performing or going to deliver a better ROI for you.
I think, yeah, as you said, one of the hardest challenges is bringing people on the journey, isn't it, of change, you know, getting people to change, getting the sales team or people that have been there a long time and have these things, and using data is really a powerful tool to do that. Are there any particular stories you'd like to share about like a light bulb moment of where there was a particular data set or power or anything particular that you think was like, yeah, it was the one?
I'll refer to account-based marketing because that was one of the big things that we implemented at Tibco alongside the vertical use case marketing. And the two go hand in hand because you're typically targeting sets of accounts. But before we even sort of went on the full ABM journey, we decided to run a pilot because, you know, ABM can be very complicated. It can be complex, and you've got to make sure that you've got the buy-in from your stakeholders in order to do it effectively and for it to have an impact on the business. So in order to do that, we agreed and it was in the UK region that we did it. We would run a pilot, and we worked with a third party agency who are absolutely brilliant. And we said, look, this is what we're looking to do. Can you help us? We're looking for your expertise. Who have you done this for in the past and how have you done it with them? So we agreed with the sales leader for the UK and then ultimately the European sales leader that we were going to put X amount of dollars into this pilot, and our objective would be a certain amount of pipeline. So we worked on a specific report. We worked just with one particular account executive, and this particular gentleman was very, very driven to work with marketing. He was incredibly collaborative, really believed in marketing. And so by running the pilot, we were able to agree those objectives, run the pilot, do what we needed to do. Thankfully, it worked. The agency did a fantastic job with us. The account executive, their SDR as well, and the local field marketing person for the UK all came together to help drive a particular sort of campaign into sets of accounts. And we ended up being able to deliver pipeline that then did in fact convert and close. So I think that's an example of explaining upfront what we were looking to achieve, what we wanted to do, agreeing the objectives with those stakeholders, both at the country level and the regional level, and then sticking to our guns, having regular check-ins, regular calls, adjusting where we needed to. Sometimes, you know, certain tactics as part of that kind of a campaign and approach didn't resonate. So we'd have a little tweak and then we'd regroup the next week and see how things had gone. And we just kept iterating and iterating on it. And in fact, over time, that pilot became a global account-based marketing program, for Tibco. So really pleased that we stuck to our guns, did a really concise effort. And then in turn, that ultimately led to, more and more investment from leadership, from the executive leadership team into the account-based marketing part of marketing, which I led, which was great.
What a brilliant example. And I think, do you know what? It really, really embodies like what my great belief in marketing is. It's like start small, test, measure, improve. And what you described, it's so easy to say that, isn't it? It's so easy to say test and measure, improve, but that's what you did. And that's how you got your buy-in. So what an amazing achievement. Well done. And what I know we spoke about this before, but I often talk to people about account-based marketing, and I always describe account-based marketing as a bit like spaghetti bolognese in terms of everybody has their own version of spaghetti bolognese. It all probably starts with maybe some mince unless you're vegetarian, and some tomato, but some people might put a stock cube in, some people might put garlic, some people put chocolate or red wine. So there's a different version. And I think it's interesting to understand the framework that you used, or whether you think there is a framework, because so many companies say to me, I'm not doing it very well. And they feel they lack in confidence because we call it account-based marketing. It feels like there is a perfect framework on it. And I don't know whether you believe there is a perfect framework or whether there is a different sort of way of approaching it.
Yeah, I love the analogy of spaghetti bolognese, and I'm going to sort of use a little bit of that in my answer. I think, as with any sauce, it actually starts with the basics, right? When you are putting the initial ingredients in and you start your sauce, and you might chop up carrot or celery and onion and garlic and everything else, but your basis there is ultimately the same for many, many different sauces. And then you add the different ingredients. And I think there isn't a one size fits all when it comes. So hence, like spaghetti bolognese, people do make it differently. I put Tabasco in mine. I put Worcester sauce. I put a little bit of brown sauce. And I put a little bit of balsamic vinegar. So, you sort of make up your own recipe because you know what you like and you know what your guests or your family like to eat in terms of the flavor. But I think it is about working out for your organization what you want to do. Account-based marketing is incredibly broad. And I think we as an industry now probably categorize it in kind of three ways. You've got your one-to-many, which a lot of this is done digitally. You can use lots of different platforms, but you are ultimately reaching lots and lots of different accounts with your overarching message. But you are looking at intent signals. You might be using different platforms to bring that data back in to provide it to sales. I think the next layer is then what I would call, so I'd probably call the one to many, I'd call that the spaghetti that sits at the bottom, right? That's the actual pasta bit. The middle piece is your one to few, is where you start to categorize accounts that are lookalikes. So we use this a lot at Tibco, and it might be the top 20 manufacturers in a particular region, the top 100 insurers for a particular region. And as I spoke before about use cases, they do have use cases for those particular industries. So your one to few can start to drill down and target into those sets of accounts so that you can deliver messages that are really, really relevant and really going to sort of resonate with your customers. And maybe we'll call that the actual bolognese part of it. So your industries could be the different flavors within your bolognese. And then you go into your one-to-one. And I think this is maybe the fine Parmesan that you might put on the top, or the glass of wine that you might have with it, right? This is where it's very particular to you, and it's very, very focused, and it's very much about an individual account. So that's how I probably categorize the sort of main parts of account-based marketing: one to many, one to few, and the one-to-one. I think when it comes to implementing account-based marketing within an organization, I wish I'd copyrighted this, because I've seen it many, many times since. So we started on the account-based marketing journey back at Tibco in 2017. And I looked at how we were going to implement it, and outside of the pilot, it was really around account-based everything. I had to get buy-in from pre-sales organization, the sales organization, the services organization that were ultimately going to be delivering, the value engineering organization that were helping our customers to understand the value of Tibco within their organization. You've got the partner organization as well. So I actually said it's account-based everything, or ABX. So when I was positioning, and we took it from the pilot into the much wider global account-based marketing program, I said, this is ABX, and this is, across the organization. So I had some nice little diagrams and pictures of how it actually worked. And it isn't just about marketing doing their thing. It's about everyone understanding the needs of the account, what needed to be achieved as an organization to help penetrate that account, and everybody's role in those different functions. And so we would have regular ABX check-ins where a representative from each one of those functions would speak about what they'd been doing within that account, so that we were sharing account intelligence. And then it helps value engineering be more effective. It helps sales be more effective. It helps the SDR organization, the outbound SDRs or BDR be more effective. It helps our executive team when they might be having a quarterly check-in to say and speak about what that account's going through, and just sharing all that intel helped us to be more effective in ultimately partnering with that customer, penetrating the account in many levels, and then helping to also cross-sell into new business units of that particular business. A lot of organizations, there's multiple business units, there's multiple parts. And once you've cracked one, you can then use that and take it and use it in another part of the business or another function there. So we did that as well.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. If there was one bit of advice that you had to give to somebody who said account-based marketing will not work in our business, what would be one bit of advice that you would give them to trial it?
I think I'd be curious to know where their view came from. Maybe they've had a bad experience in the past, but I think start small. Do a pilot, test it out, find your most responsive and receptive account executive or SDR. Make sure you've got your leadership buy-in and say, look, we're gonna test this. Well, I don't know, let's say it's $10,000. We're gonna test this quarter. This is what we're thinking. But please do it from the view of the customer. This isn't you selling your company's products, pushing your company's products. Flip it over. What are the challenges of the customer? And this goes back again to that use case marketing. How do insurers stop fraud detection? How do manufacturers look at anomaly detection? There's just examples from Tibco. And what are the biggest challenges that customer is facing? Use your outbound BDRs to look at their annual report. Look at their 10K report, whatever it is that they publish. You can see what the business is looking at. Maybe it's customer experience, if it's retail, it's customer penetration, it's helping to drive omni-channel experience, whatever it might be. Take that information and determine how your particular product, your service, your offering can help solve that, and then flip your marketing to be specific to that. And maybe you do it in a set of accounts. Maybe you pick the top 10, whatever it is in a vertical, or maybe you do just go after one or two key accounts. And with that particular AE or account team, you really try to penetrate, but give it a try. Please don't write it off. It isn't a big hairy beast. If you don't make it that, start with a little pilot. And it really does work when you focus on the customer and you start to do some different tactics and focus on them. They're more willing to have a conversation with you and explore how you might be able to help them.
And would you say, I mean, you drove some major account wins through account-based marketing, through a career you have. And what would you say if there was like three things that you think that enabled those? What would you say, like the three checklists that ultimately enabled those account wins from account-based marketing?
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to go back to it. The first thing is stakeholder buy-in from the top. So be it with your CMO, you've got to put a case together, right? You can't just go, well, we're going to do account-based marketing tomorrow. You've got to yourself and my team put that case together. We started with one person who said, I'd like to do account-based marketing. I think we're ready for account-based marketing. And I put my faith in them. And they've gone on, by the way, to have a phenomenal career leading an entire account-based marketing organization at a big security company. And they've been phenomenal and successful in their role. But I said, okay, build a little bit of a business case for me. What are our objectives? What we're looking to do? So we built that and we took it to the stakeholders. We took it to the CMO. We took it to the VP, the regional VP. And then ultimately, as we grew that, we took it up to the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer, and had that executive team buy in for it. But I'd say the first thing is that stakeholder buy-in at the top level. The next piece is your peer buy-in. And having them on board and working with those account executives and salespeople that are responsive to marketing, that are great partners with marketing, that follow up on leads, that ask for help, that ask for information, that feed intelligence from their accounts back and say, hey, look, I was having a conversation with so-and-so at ABC company and they're really struggling with this. Is there a way we can adjust our marketing? Can we pop some of that into our messaging? I can help. I can review it if you like. So having those account execs that really understand the value of marketing, follow up on the leads, want to partner with you, give you that intel. And then I think that the third is don't be afraid to fail. You won't get it right first time. You will have to iterate your approach. You will have to iterate your tactics. You might need to swap out accounts. Not everything is going to resonate with every account that you pick. So, have your A list and then your B list. And you'll start to see through some of your tools and intent and data, the accounts that it is resonating with. And then you're going to see accounts it's just not having an impact on at all. And those are the ones that you take out and you swap out and you put some new ones in, but give it time to work. So don't be afraid to fail with, a few small things, but iterate and make changes as you need to go. And if you've got that basic plan right, and you're running your pilot and you're seeing the positive pieces, just keep going and expand it. And, the world's your oyster once it comes to building out account-based marketing, because we've proven it at Tibco with the data. I've proven it elsewhere. It does work. You do really, really get traction in accounts when you focus on them, their challenges, and how you can help solve and provide value to them.
And beyond account-based marketing, is there anything else that you need to have in play in a marketing team to sort of orchestrate what you've described?
Oh, everything. Marketing is never one thing. I think there are, and I've been lucky to have some phenomenal peers in marketing. You've got web, you've got digital, you've got partner marketing, obviously account-based marketing, demand generation. You might have a core center of excellence that has the always on sort of campaigns for your core products. You've got event marketing. You might have an executive marketing team that might run the executive briefing center. I don't think there should be importance placed on one or more pieces. I think as marketing, as a whole team, you come together. And I've been lucky to work with just some phenomenal other marketing leaders and their teams. Brand and communications and PR, all of it is ultimately important in helping to drive the reputation of your organization, to help drive demand, to help drive customer satisfaction, to help your customer have a fantastic experience. So whilst my focus may have been on field and partner and account-based marketing, at Iron Mountain, I've been looking after all the different functions, product marketing, sales enablement as well. All of these pieces are important for the customer to have the best possible journey and experience and partnership with you as an organization, and ultimately go on to buy more, to expand their customer relationship with you and be satisfied and stay with you for a long, long time. So, yeah, I wouldn't, as much as I'd like to say, yes, account-based marketing, we're the best. Everything's important in marketing, and, having a very, very strong marketing team that work and collaborate across and understand what each other's function is doing and how each other can benefit and aid in that entire marketing function is really, really important.
Absolutely. It's there's not one silver bullet, is there? There's a variety of things we've got to do. So with the strong economic headwinds at the moment, and so many companies are cutting rather than building, in response to customers not buying so much for them. And quite often marketing's taken a bit of a battering. So could you share some insights on how you think companies should navigate the challenge and still achieve their marketing goals?
Yeah, sure. And I'll go back to the point I made earlier. A lot of it is about the data and really understanding what converts, what drives that top of funnel, what drives a customer to continue that conversation after they've put their initial hand up and said, yep, I'm interested. And then, what keeps them as a customer. So, being able to understand every dollar of marketing and where it has an impact and where it goes is incredibly important, because as marketing budgets get cut, as customers are not necessarily spending, the marketing budget, being able to make every dollar count, is becoming more and more crucial. Gone are the days where you might be able to spend X on branding or sponsorship or, these nice to have kind of networking events. You've really got to be able to prove to the executive team, to those providing the funding, the board, it might be a PE, a VC. If you're a public company, you've got to be able to show that ROI. So being able to dive into that data, really understand what's working and what's working well. And you will find it isn't one thing. So going back to every function within marketing is important. It won't just be the campaigns team or digital. They're all important, but there are tactics within each one of those functions that you need to understand, which are those that are converting. So on the web, what is driving that traffic to the web? And what is the actual journey that somebody is having on your website that is causing them to then request a demo or a contact me or, those sorts of things. In your event strategy, where are you getting the best conversions from your events? Is it trade shows? Is it executive dinners? Is it more what I would call like the speed dating events where you go along and you have 10 or 12 set meetings? In your PR and communications, is it working with a particular publication? Is it a particular tactic? Is it placement of articles? What are the tactics that are really resonating? What are the tactics that are converting? So I would say to a marketing leader, and then their next layer, understanding your function, what are the tactics and activities that you do that are really having an impact on your business, and what are the ones that you can do away with because they're not converting. And you've also got to ensure that you're continually having the conversations with your sales peers, be it your chief revenue officer, it might be the professional services team, pre-sales, value engineering, whatever it is within your company, and continue to get intel on the marketplace, continue to get intel on trends, continue to understand what's happening so that you don't get stuck in that rut because we've always done that event or we've always worked with that publication. Let's do it again next year. Don't get stuck in that rut. Understand some of the trends that are happening in the industry. Understand then and apply that back to what you've been doing and connect the dots, what's converted with which tactic, to then repeat those or double down or spend that precious marketing money on those that are converting for you.
Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant advice. And is there anything I haven't asked you today that you'd like to elaborate on?
Oh gosh. Well, we've covered a bit of golf. We've covered account-based marketing. I think we've covered a fairly broad range, really. I think hopefully the listeners will get some insights, some tips to help them in their marketing journeys and some of the things they're looking to embark on from a marketing perspective. But no, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I think we've covered a huge amount.
We have covered a huge amount, and I really like to thank you. I think your advice has been invaluable, and I love the way you've broken stuff down and used analogies. So I think it's been valuable insights that others are going to be able to take away. So thank you so much. But that's all we've got time for today on the Spotlight on Marketing, which is brought to us by Armstrong Lloyd, the marketing recruitment specialists. We hope that you tune in for our next podcast coming shortly. And if you like what you hear, please do leave us a review and rate us on whichever platform that you're listening to us on. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you taking the time.